computer. There we go.
Hi,
Ready?
Rosie.
Hi, Rosie.
Hey, Rosie, feel better.
I'm going
All
to be
right.
reading chapter 20.
This audible recording was made in 19. No, I don't know. I forget.
I'll do accents and everything. Okay. Darting around the cave, Lorelai gathers the last of the materials needed for the ritual. She is clumsy, tripping over the uneven floors and dropping the athame before she reaches the altar. She picks up the dagger, swiftly examines it for injuries, and bows her head, bringing its blade to her lips. Please, she whispers, help us to take flight. Her 3 children, brittle shells of what were once a vibrant boy and 2 girls, stand holding the ceremonial candles, the only source of light in the cave. The flames dart erratically, casting glimpses of both light and shadow over their faces as they place the candles on the altar. Lorelai can barely meet her children's eyes. She tries to provide a reassuring smile, but her hands tremble as she lowers the knife and hawk feather to their places. To your directions now, she says. They scatter away from one another, each moving to their designated direction around the altar. No, Calla Lily, Lorelai says, stopping the girl in her tracks. You go to the south. Kayla stands in the north today. Oh, Calla Lily says with a shake of her head. Right. She scurries toward Kayla, who at every ritual Abraxas has placed in the south these 3 long years, never once suspecting that it should have been Calla Lily holding the place of most power. As Kayla moves to create room for her sister, she shares a look that only the 2 of them can understand. Then she moves toward the north. It takes her significantly longer to arrive. Her life force, everything that makes her Kayla, is watered down because of the magic Abraxas has forced her to execute. She has borne the brunt of the returns, no matter how much they've all tried to share the load. Lorelai wishes that she could be as strong as the steel of the athame, but she feels herself crumbling as she watches her daughters. Abraxas' curse, the years of heavy returns, and her guilt have all served to break down her flimsy defenses. Is he going to come back before we're finished? Kit asks. What if the Dark Ones don't keep him long? He is standing directly across from Lorelai in the west, his eyebrows knit in worry. For the last time, Christopher, stop speaking of him, she snaps. Kit frowns but doesn't give up. Well, can't Callie check where he is? Or you? You do it, Mama, he pushes, the booming sound of his heartbeat forcing itself into Lorelai's ears. Then there is a mad rush of all their heartbeats pounding relentlessly in her mind. Lorelai lifts her hands and snaps her fingers at each ear, banishing the sound. Enough! Kit flinches. I'm sorry, Lorelai says. We must get to work. We can't waste our strength on looking for him. We must go. With a nod of her head, Lorelai approaches the altar. The children follow. They move the elemental symbols to form a 5-pointed star, a pentagram, the athame for air in the east, lit candles for fire in the south, a cup for water in the west, cave stone for earth in the north, and the hawk feather for spirit in the center. Lorelai looks down at Calla Lily and still cannot believe it. The feather is hers, and Abraxas had almost caught sight of her in that form. It would have been the end. Kit nearly drops the cup of water as he moves it, his gasp reawakening Lorelai to the moment. It's okay, Calla Lily whispers to him. She puts her hand over his to steady it. I've got you. Her eyes meet Kit's and she smiles. His body relaxes. Lorelai wants to gather the children into her arms to comfort them, to stop them from having to do this, but they must keep going. There is no choice. She turns to Kayla. The key. Kayla holds up her palm, the small metal key gleaming inside it. Lorelai smiles her approval, but the corners of her mouth sour. She feels that she is at the edge of an abyss, doomed to fall forever when they all finally leap. She inhales sharply and turns toward the south to Calla Lily. And the ballerina? Calla Lily raises her hand, tightened into a fist, and rotates it up to reveal the ballerina in her hand. A flicker of light behind Kit near the entrance of the cave catches Lorelai's attention. Good, Lorelai says absentmindedly, eyes still on the entrance. It was nothing, a trick of fear. And I have the music box. She picks up the smooth, polished chestnut-colored box from the altar. If they fail, the key, ballerina, and music box will find a way to bring them back together. Tonight, she continues, the moon is at her fullest and closest to the earth, allowing us to pull so much more energy from her. We give her thanks. I know your fear and I share it, but remember the moon. Now, Mama, Calla Lily says, her voice hoarse. What if? No what ifs, Lorelai says. The blade of the athame gleams gold in the light. She remembers the day that Zalia gave it to her, the heaviness of the object in her palm, the courage her friend had asked her to keep. You can do this. You have been preparing for it all the time, and you will not be doing it alone. Now we must call to the directions and the ancestors. They will assist us too. We'll do it all at once. Calla Lily nods, and though her eyes are still wide with fear, she moves closer to Kit and takes his hand into hers. He is just barely 6 and can only shoulder so much magic. They begin to call together. Lorelei closes her eyes. She calls to the east, to the air, for breath and inspiration, to carry them off to safety. Then to the ancestor Denabria, keeper of the winds, bender of weather, and mother of the sun. The magic pools underneath her feet, and she opens her eyes. The children are watching her, their magic also ready and waiting. Something crawls along Lorelei's skin. She looks down at her arm, expecting an insect. An itch at her neck makes her flinch, but there is no pain, no retribution for calling the ancestors. Has the curse not picked up this small transgression simply because she has not specifically asked the magic to work against Abraxas? She looks towards the entrance of the cave again, watches the darkness take on shapes in her eyes, but nothing real appears. She squeezes the music box in her hands. Calla Lily, begin, she says. Her mouth is pasty, her chest heavy. With a stern nod, Calla Lily straightens. Her face hardens as she pulls the magic that pools at her feet up into her body. The migration spell comes first. Winds of Denabria, spirit and action of Esther, she begins. The winds that will migrate them have already begun to whisper through her hair. Kit and Kayla join her as she finishes. Come to our aid. The magic is strengthening underneath Lorelei's feet, but she must keep it in check. She cannot use it yet. She will let the children do the core of the work as promised to evade the curse. The winds pick up and circle around them, shimmering with the green, red, and blue of the children's magic, but the gusts are not nearly as strong as they need to be. Kit and Kayla, eyes set fiercely upon the winds, continue to work the spell. It is their magic that will ultimately strengthen the winds enough to migrate them far from this cave. And when it is time, it is Lorelei's magic that will ensure that they all travel together, none left behind or taken elsewhere. Calla Lily moves on to the next spell. Aside from the migration, it is the memory sweeping that will require the most effort and time. A cold sweat along with a wave of sickness, and Lorelei stumbles forward. She recovers quickly, eyes darting. The children are too occupied to notice. Esther, dear ancestor of action and transformation, we ask much of you, Calla Lily says, her voice drowned out by the increasing speed of the winds, which have now formed a cone shape around and over them. Kayla pulls away from the migration spell to help Calla Lily. Together they pull great amounts of magic from the unknowable, all that is needed to erase Abraxas' memory of them and to make room for new memories. He will have a new life, one without magic, one without this family. Mama! Lorelei looks towards Kit. He is straining under the weight of the migration spell. She has no choice. The winds are strong enough, but now they must be maintained as Calla Lily finishes. Lorelei brings the magic to her hands and pushes along the winds. There is a slight tilt to her vision. Her arms and legs begin to ache. The cold sweat on her skin becomes icy. Once again, her eyes seek out the entrance of the cave, but she can no longer see. The constant wind is like a wall blocking her view. It is the curse and the dark magic, she tells herself as her teeth begin to chatter. The merging of Calla Lily and Kayla's magic creates an orb of dusty red and blue mists. It rises away from them and floats above the altar. Abraxas will forget. He will live among those without magic, whom he so despises, as one of them. Calla Lily breaks from the memory sweeping spell. Kayla now maintains its magic. Lorelei and Kit continue their hold on the migration spell. The winds now have the shimmering silver quality of Lorelei's magic in them as they spin round and round. It is time for the final pieces. Claws now tear at the muscles of Lorelei's arms and legs. If she does more magic, it will be the bone next, the curse. Hurry, Calla Lily, she shouts, her heart pumping wildly in her chest. Calla Lily is already working the glamours. She moves deftly, even returns a portion of her support to the winds into the memory sweeping spell. This, her ability to manipulate so much at one time, and her ability to skin shift into the hawk at such a young age, are what Lorelei must prevent Abraxas from ever seeing. Kayla is faltering. They knew this would happen. Lorelei pulls more of her magic toward the memory spell. The bones in her limbs begin to crack. Mama, no, Calla Lily shouts. Go on, she commands Calla Lily. We must finish. No Auroran will recognize us. No Auroran will recognize him. The spell leaves Calla Lily's lips and circles around the memory spell, a still growing orb of colors floating above the altar. Then there is the feel of Calla Lily's magic on her, crisp and very clear, pure like crystal, expansive like sky. Areas of Lorelei could take flight, but she cannot. She is simultaneously being pulled down, weighted by the curse and the pain. Oh, the pain. It is slow, torturous on her bones as they slowly bend toward a break. She screams, but the wind carries the sound up and out of their hearing. Once again, Calla Lily speaks, the magic seeping into the swirling orb above the altar. No Auroran can come near Abraxas. No Auroran may approach us. If they try, let them be cursed with sickness and pain should they get too close or attempt any magic upon us. The cave grows even colder, fills with darkness. The candles finally lose their flames. Lorelei's heart is pounding so hard it hurts, almost as badly as the pain in her limbs. Calla Lily pulls the orb of spells toward her. It is as large as she is now. It cannot be stopped. She will send this group of spells out beyond the winds to Abraxas. Then they will all let themselves fall into the winds and leave, and it will be done. Lorelei's feet lift from the floor. The pressure in her arms and legs eases, but they are useless, and she can tell that one more spell done against Abraxas and the bones within them will finally break. Calla Lily, also rising from the floor, catches the orb of spells in her arms. Lorelei rises higher with Kit by her side, back hitting the winds. The air is moving so fast it feels as if it is cutting the back of her neck. Her hair whips her face. Kayla has only just begun to rise, following behind them. The pain in Lorelei's legs grows worse. It appears in her stomach, her chest, icy stabbing pains that force her eyes shut. A piercing scream cuts through the wind. Lorelei knows what has happened before she even opens her eyes to look. Kayla has been pulled down. Lorelei opens her eyes and meets Abraxas' stare. He is holding Kayla, attempting to pull the magic from her to stop the spell. The vicious grin splitting his face falls. He realizes Kayla is not the one controlling the spell. The winds rage on. Stay here, Lorelei orders Kit, forcing her way back down toward the floor. Abraxas' eyes dart toward Calla Lily. She is still holding the orb of spells in her arms, now facing him. She's going to try to send it directly to him. It is you, he sneers up at Calla Lily. How dare you all keep this from me? Without releasing Kayla, Abraxas moves to strike. Lorelei is quick. She pulls in slabs of rock, makes the cave ceiling crack, and attacks Abraxas with a rain of stones. The bones of her arms and legs snap. She screams in agony as tears burst from her eyes. The winds of the migration swarm her and pull at her broken body, bringing her up toward Kit once more. Abraxas avoids the pummeling. He is unharmed, clutching Kayla closer, but he has not succeeded in attacking Calla Lily. Although the winds have caught her, Calla Lily fights against them and pushes the orb of spells. The memories sweep, the glamours, the curse, all toward Abraxas. She has created a tunnel, one that sends the spell directly to him and him alone. Abraxas knows that the spell is too far gone, but this knowledge does not stop him from fighting back. He tightens his grip on Kayla and creates his own winds, black and thick as smoke, which push back against the orb of spells. Lorelei prepares a second attack, one that she hopes will free Kayla and thwart Abraxas. But as she calls the magic to her body, her back arches in a strange way, her spine pulled, then broken. She falls loose, unable to move. The winds are the only thing holding her up. Though her body is broken and the pain strangely gone, she can still see. Kayla is below, lurching in Abraxas' arms, screaming to be free. Calla Lily is also screaming, looking back between Lorelei and Kayla in horror. The terror is taking over. Abraxas' dark winds are succeeding. They push back against the orb of spells, sending them up, up. Suddenly, Calla Lily is in the air, the winds reaching for her, pulling her, but she is fighting them. Or is Abraxas trying to pull her toward him? Lorelei can no longer tell. Darkness is closing in on the corners of her vision. The winds pound in her ears. His dark winds push harder. The orb of spells catches with the winds of the migration. But Calla Lily's body does too. She is crying, sobbing. Her hands are limp at her sides. She is not fighting it anymore. Lorelei cannot move her neck, but her eyes glide down, catching a last glimpse of Kayla. Her voice is now set like stone as her father shakes beside her with rage. Lorelei's body is tugged harshly. The winds beat and batter against ears, deafening her. Suddenly everything is quiet. She is tugged again, only wind in her eyes. Then her vision goes black. Whew.
Whoa.
It's intense.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like I've been waiting for that chapter for a long time.
Yeah.
There's something about like stories where kids are put upon to do something that they shouldn't have to do. Like they've all got to do this magic spell to kind of, I guess they're sort of like binding Abraxas from, from magic. And it's like, they're little kids. They shouldn't have to. There's something that like really gets me about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
definitely felt like the packing the bags. Felt like the packing the bags and like trying to get out of the house before dad comes home kind of scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is the first one that I've felt, the first chapter where I've wondered if this book is middle grade. Like everything up to this point has felt like very much in the middle grade sphere. And I mean, I know middle grade books are intense, but this, oof. Like, is this?
I don't know if because I feel like I'm putting a lot of symbolism in it that I don't know if a middle grader would. They're all like just trying to, they're just sort of fighting with magic, and he's, a big bad or the mean guy, I guess the bones breaking from the
Yeah.
the bones breaking from the repay. What is that?
The return.
The return.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen the return too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it actually could be or could mean. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like it's there's so many payoffs in it because there's no I feel like this is maybe one of the first chapters we've gotten to where it's all showing, there's no exposition. So we get to see all the things that have been explained to us like actually happen. It feels like a huge payoff, like over and over and over again. So it's very rewarding as well as being exciting.
Probably for that reason, though, it does feel very different to me, like than the other chapters. It's almost like it got lifted out of another book and put into it. And like some of that I'm sure is like not having Rosie read it herself as well too. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a contrast to the way the book has been delivered so far, for sure, for me.
I just feel like this is the payoff of when all the exposition finally like I love that we're showing and not telling, but she had to do a lot of telling to get us here.
Yeah, totally.
We're also not from Callie's point of view anymore.
Right. I think that's it, Ruth. Right. Yeah, I think that's what's doing it for me.
That's also and that's really cool. It's like getting, I think I've referenced this before, but like in the Hunger Games, how you're in Katniss's head the whole time, and only towards like the end of, or even like the second book, you start to get a sense of how everybody else sees Katniss and how different it is from how she sees herself in the world in relation to the world. And so I feel like in this we're getting to see someone else's perspective on Callie, like how and getting to see Callie's power and from her mom's point of view. And that was really that I feel like it's neat that it comes at this point, because we've got all this up to this point in Callie's head, and now we get a glimpse of her objective reality, like outside of her own head. And now we'll go back to her POV with renewed insight, I guess.
But Callie's also different in this chapter. I feel like up until now, she has been serving bitchy puberty vibes. And now
very much
she's,
so.
I'm seeing her as like, it's not just that her mother is seeing her as like, she seems like, I'm really getting like, this is a child, but, she she is speaking and acting, you know, she seems different in this chapter.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and I don't know if anybody knows or can answer, but Rosie, but where this fits into the book. How far in are we?
20
We're
chapter-
chapters.
I go, well, chapter 20, thank you. Because it does have that pivotal feel to it. Like this is a real, you know, kind of turning point where we kind of see the way that the power is aligned and the players and how they work together as a team. And you do have that sense of the kids, you know, the kids really having to grow into this new understanding of the world. For me, I was a little, it was a little slow of a build going through the steps and the stairs and the candle and the this at the beginning. That kind of didn't have a lot of action for me going. And then Abraxas appeared and I was like, wait, where did he come? You know, it was just kind of like, I felt a little bit jarred and it was like, I thought I was paying attention. I was really listening. And it was like, you know, maybe I just missed something in that. Maybe that's just me.
I kind of felt like he was the crawling insect.
Mm.
I know, I was waiting for that to kind of pay off, that there was a foreshadowing of something with that really sense on her neck and things.
I would like, I do see what you're saying. I feel like I didn't have a problem with the build and with the setup of the spell. I thought that was kind of cool to see like how it all works and what the kids are all doing. And they did, I feel like Rose did a good job of layering in this tension of like you were saying, like gotta pack the bags and get away from here before dad comes home. And that they kept, you know, checking the cave entrance and she's starting to feel these things, but I did miss the connection between all of those little hints and all of a sudden he's there.
Yeah.
You know, I would like to see
Even
to
poof
have
or
that
like
more of a
yeah.
direct connection, I guess.
An appearance.
Yeah, a direct payoff, like you were
Or an
saying, to those
appearance.
foreshadowing moments. What'd you say?
Or an appearance.
Right. Right.
I have a
Yeah.
question. Because I don't remember, and I'm kind of tired, but did we ever have a glimpse of family life of Abraxas and Lorelai and the kids?
Not yet.
Okay, this was like the first time. I mean, we've been told before who Abraxas is, but this was really when it hit me like, oh shit, this is their dad. Like the bad guy is their dad. Very heavy, but dad can still mean a lot of different things. You know, it could be dad who took off when you were a little kid and you never saw him again. It could be dad that you had a relationship with and then, you know, he split, or this is the breaking off point. And I guess because I don't know the background yet, I don't know how traumatic this is for the kids.
Right.
I mean, his power is threatening, but the emotional response to that, this is your dad,
Right.
I don't know what to make of that yet.
And I liked that one line of that Lorelai hints at, that like he's been forcing them to do magic and they like Kayla's been bearing the brunt of the returns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and so we
Yeah, I
did
just
get
looked
that
up.
one line, and that was heavy and powerful. And then I get the weight of I think I'm mispronouncing her name. I'm so sorry, Rosie. Is it Kyla? I don't know. I said Kayla and then I went with it. So Kayla, but her being left behind at the end. And her stone, I think she used this stone faced of I'm trapped, I'm not getting out, and that destroyed me. But I wonder if it would, are you saying that you want you want a little bit more of that, or you want it before this to help give this weight, or
I mean,
You're hoping that we'll get it later.
if I don't get it, I mean, I don't know, because I haven't read the rest of the book, so I don't know what getting it later would do or not do. I just, as a reader at this point, am definitely wondering, like, what is the dynamic here besides just that he is a powerful baddie? What is the emotional dynamic that he's dad?
Right.
Because that's so huge.
I would like I know that Callie is like waking up in the chapters leading up to this, so there's a lot that we still don't know.
Right.
And that is kind of cool because it keeps me moving forward. But I do think we have had a lot of interaction with Abraxas, and I think it would be cool to get some bit of memory flashback or resurfacing of a memory of what it was like of what their ordinary family life was like that led them to this moment of trying to banish him, essentially.
I was thinking the same thing of like, you know, it could even be like responses of the kids of, you know, I mean, the only little bit I got was, I don't remember who was speaking at that point, if it was Callie or Kyla, but one of them was like, wait, no, like this is, it sounded like they weren't just concerned that they themselves would be cut off, but they were concerned that Abraxas would be cut off.
I misread that. I thought that Callie was responding to her mom, but I realized she was actually speaking the spell. She was just stating a fact, like no one.
Yeah, I was wondering if that should be italicized or something. Yeah,
that would be helpful because I realized it as I was reading it, and it was like, oh, but again, it's too late. It went on. I'm sorry, guys, that was my bad.
Okay, I thought it was I thought it was like a moment of like, you know, of guilt or like remorse of like, but I don't want to hurt this person, which gave me like oh, well, that might be telling me something about their relationship and how she feels about him.
Yeah, but no, I think it's just it was just the spell.
It's going to be a stupid question, but this chapter is present day or flashback?
This is a flashback. She's seeing it, from Lorelai's point of view.
Got you. All right. That clarifies a lot of things for me then.
Rosey, I think Rosey has given herself a really tough task in that it's because it's a memory thing, she's basically built the whole thing backwards. Like
yeah,
like we don't get the reveal of any of this until now, so we don't know what the stakes are until later, and we won't know that relationship stuff until later when Kelly remembers it. So like all the building up of stuff is kind of coming in reverse. It wants to come it wants to come in the other order, but this is how it comes.
But I think, I think it's working. I think it's cool, but I do think there could be I think there's enough room and enough space leading up to this, not in this chapter, but in one of the chapters prior, as memories are starting to come back, for a glimpse of something that will give us a little bit more insight into the stakes of this moment when it comes.
Just trying to think if there's been any other POV shifts so far or flashbacks or anything like that. This is really the first, right?
Yeah.
It's just really like, it
There's
fits
been like
more as a flashback. Like if it was present day, then I would definitely want to be in Callie's head. But like, even still, I don't know. It's such a big shift that like, I kind of want to feel her experience through this. Not like, I don't have that much of a connection to Lorelai so far that I really like want to be in her head and like, or at least see it from that way. Like, I don't know. I'm struggling with the POV.
I disagree.
I think I do too, and I think we're gonna see it in the next chapter.
I think it's a question for Rosey about like what comes and like seeing how it unfolds. It's been such a stark like move, which may be certainly intentional on Rosey's part as to what she's got ahead for us.
I think it's important to get out of Callie's head for a bit,
Yeah.
and to see this moment was like the turning point of everything. And I think it's important for the reader to kind of step outside and get this older, wiser POV, and also to see how it impacted Callie, but from the outside, and then
It does do a really good job of like, you feel like the fear and discomfort of the children. Like she did a really great job with that without like them really fully understanding what's going on at the time.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see like what is ahead of us in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you knew how to pronounce the word that means dagger.
I know that just because of listening to the Crit Show, one of the characters has an athame. So I saw that word and I'm like, oh, that's how it's spelled. Oh, and on we went. Yeah. Yeah. The description of the magic, super cool. I'm intrigued by the use of the word of the name Esther.
Yeah, I bet it's the same Esther. Feels
Like biblical Esther?
Yes. I think that's like a pagan thing of like she's definitely holds the direction on the wheel.
Oh no, not familiar with that.
Right, because she's like spring essentially. She's kind of the goddess of spring in a way.
Oh, in that's not her function in the Bible.
Are you sure? Isn't that
I'm
Easter?
No.
Are you sure?
Esther is a Jewish woman named Hadassah who became queen of Persia.
And they wanted her to
Oh.
get naked, and she was like, "Fuck you."
Oh.
It's what Purim comes from, because she became queen and then Haman tried to kill all the Jews and she was like,
Yeah.
I'm queen, bitch. Off
And then
with
we
your
all ate cookies.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, well done, Rosie.
Yeah.
Fun. I'm very, very concerned for Kyla now.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I'm also more concerned for Lorelai,
Yeah.
because I knew she was messed up and she needed help, but I didn't realize that like all of her limbs and spine were broken. That's like a whole nother level of she got injured.
Yeah. That was intense. I'm just really I'm excited about. I'm liking the fact that it's kind of being revealed in reverse, because it's just so different, and refreshing, and keeps me, anything that plays with time with how things are revealed in a new way and doesn't like kind of kowtow to this is the way the progression of a book must be, excites me, and I'm really invested to see how the rewards continue to come. So well done.
Yeah, Esther is the goddess of spring. It's an Anglo-Saxon pagan thing.
Mm-hmm.
And is the origin of Easter.
Right.
The word Easter.
Yeah.
But not the Queen Esther. That's my conflagration.
It's an honest.
They got to co-opt all those pagan holidays anyway.
They did.
Yeah. No, it's exactly. I just figured they stole that one too.
Yeah.
No. Purim is Jewish holiday, not a Christian holiday.
It's like the only fun one we have. Well, that's not true. Sukkot is pretty fun, but that's the one where you everybody dresses up like in costumes and stuff, and you're supposed to actually, it's like reverse trick-or-treating. With giving out cookies, and then during the service, whenever everyone gets like noisemakers, and whenever they say Haman's name, who's the bad guy in the story, you're supposed to drown out his name. So if you're a kid, it's like dressing up and you're allowed to scream and make noise in temple, and you eat really good cookies, and it's pretty
That
great.
sounds fun.
It's like a modified, it's a bit of like a Cinderella story too, because she's just this poor
Yeah.
little Jewish girl, and the king's wife pisses him off, and so he sends her away, and then his like folks go out into the land and bring all the pretty virgins to the palace, and he chooses Hadassah out of all of them because she's the prettiest. And now you are queen. And it's yeah, it's a fun time. She was always my favorite. There are two women who in the Bible who have books named after them, or they're, yeah, and they are Ruth and Esther.
You got the Ruth and I got the Esther because my Jewish name is Mendel Esther.
Really?
Mhm.
Yay! I always thought my mom named me Ruth because she was her favorite female Bible character, and I said, if I have a daughter, I'm going to name her Esther because Esther kicks ass. Yeah.
Hopefully that was helpful to Ruth.
I like
I'm
this
glad we
format.
did
I'm just gonna put up my chapters and bail on you guys, and you can read and talk, and I don't have to be there for it. It's great.
The only requirement is you have to have COVID.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. I like us reading each other's stuff. I think that's really helpful, and it takes away one of the ways that you can cheat. It's like
Mhm.
someone else is reading it, you can't put your own stuff in there.
Yeah. I feel like I put a lot of my stuff in and how I read it. I think I cheat that way.
I totally do.
I do. I don't think it's cheating.
I do.
Performing your work.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be there to perform it when someone picks up my book.
Exactly.
No, just release it on tape, that's all.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
This is available only as an audiobook.
Right.
Cool. Well,
We're off
Alright.
next week, correct?
yeah.
We are off.
Yeah.
Do we have any discussion about scheduling or in person or anything that thoughts on this or?
Didn't Rosie say she can't make the next meeting?
I think she
Well,
said she
she
can make
said,
next week.
Oh,
yeah, if we tried to reschedule it for next week, she was saying I couldn't do it.
okay.
But I think she's okay for May. I think.
So it's Ruth and I in May, huh?
Mhm.
Whoa.
So
Correct.
That's-
Yikes.
that's May, what, 10th? What are we looking at? I mean,
Yeah.
11th.
11th, yeah.
Yeah, 11th, 18th, and 25th.
All right, looks good from here. Like I say, I got skating competitions that I go to Maryland and Long Island, but those are over weekends. So,
Where in Long Island?
I'm
What kind
not,
of skates do you wear?
yeah, really. I'm not even sure where in Long Island. I don't ask questions. I just drive.
Can you ask them to do it somewhere else so you don't have to go there?
Nah. Well, the good thing is if they're doing the Maryland one on the 5th, which is a Thursday, which is all kinds of fucked up. So I don't know.
It's wonky.
But that means I get to see maybe Josh Ritter on the 6th. So anyway, all good.
That'd be cool.
What about, did we talk about in person? Is that something that's on the table? Is that,
I'm down for it. If things are getting weird, we could always shoot for like Huckleberry is like an outside possibility.
I think we had talked about doing that for our first one just anyway, just because it's nice and if it happens to be a colder night, they've got the space heaters and
Yeah,
stuff.
they have like firefighters too.
And where is this?
Huckleberry
Where's that?
in New Paltz.
New Paltz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that would work well with my first one. My first reading. There's one, I don't know if it's going to be my second or my last. That I'm going to do just read the recap. So it's going to be really kind of read along, sort of heavy, because it'll just be a synopsis of each chapter. So that might suck in the dark. We might all want to in the dark at Huckleberry.
Yeah.
So
Alright,
yeah,
well-
maybe the first one would be good to meet in
All right,
person.
well,
if things
let's
are weird.
aim for that, and we'll, certainly touch base in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. So aiming for Huckleberry on the 11th.
Cool.
That sounds great.
All right, I'm gonna stop
Uh-oh.
the recording.
Kevin.
I'm gonna put this up in the Discord or what have you.
You've created 2 Zoom Links channels though.
I did?
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.